Arnold. Can you believe, guys, 1,000 days ago, on day 0 of my world, the single block that I'm standing on composed the entirety of my world. Arnold is completely unique in the sense that he is the only block in the world which I have not placed with my own hand. Hi guys, I'm Budget Monk, and welcome to the first official world tour of my world. On day 999, we're going to be on 1,000 days in as of the sunrise tomorrow. So let me address the elephant in the room. Obviously, the world still isn't that grand and that large. I did want to achieve a few things here throughout the course of this episode. One thing is simply a refresher, a reminder of everything that's taken place so far, as well as a few things which basically didn't make the cut, so to speak. I wanted to reintroduce everybody to each individual block that, of course, we've named throughout the world. Yeah, and speak about what it is like to actually exist sort of on a daily basis here in the world, as well as my plans going forward into the future. So as the sun begins to set, guys, I hope you come along with me as day 1,000 nears on my official first world tour of my impossible one block challenge with no mods. Let's go! Blizzard, guys. And this block here is also incredibly unique. Just like Arnold being the only block that I have not placed with my own hand, Blizzard is the first block that I have ever placed. And what an absolute grind, obviously, to achieve it. It's still, unfortunately, fresh in my memory. I'm not quite sure that I have, oh, it's snowing, 100% recovered, honestly, from that grind. I'm gonna have to sleep, guys, because it's nighttime. We do have hostile mobs on the sides, and it's gonna sort of ruin my experience, so to speak, here. And therefore, as we skip ahead, that is officially the 1,000th day. Oh my gosh. Wowee. I made it 1,000 days in the world. Sheesh. So, I want us to talk about Blizzard a little bit, guys. Originally, when I made this first video, it was actually over the course of months, as many of you guys know, and it was a huge, ridiculous, insane grind. I actually gave up on it at many different stages. I didn't think it would actually amount to anything, and I just slowly plugged away at it while I was also watching TV. I watched the whole, 3 seasons of A Person of Interest. I believe that's what it's called, the series, which is pretty cool. But, yeah, Blizzard. You'll remember in the first episode when we finished and I actually constructed Blizzard, I asked for comments as to some names suggestions, and that's where the name Blizzard came from. However, I did actually have in mind his name was going to be Carl. And the reason, which should kind of be obvious if you're a bit older, is of course Arnold as in Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl as in Carl Weathers, guys. Those are actually the two actors who have that iconic hand gesture that I've been using. I thought it was really cute, and yeah, trying to be creative. As far as identifying which block Blizzard is, a lot of people were concerned that I would sort of lose track. However, of course, you can see the iconic kind of tadpole / stingray warhammer kind of look here, reminiscent here, remaining with the snow blocks. And you must keep in mind, guys, that from the very beginning I had that kind of plan. You know, we were only going to be able to access so many blocks, and I had to utilize them in a very wise manner, in my opinion, and that's what I had in mind. So as you can see, Blizzard is to the south in terms of direction, and aka basically going down the handle. So it's not like I put him randomly. I knew exactly where he was and exactly where he was going to be, and that's how I know that this is in fact Blizzard in the first block that I placed, as opposed to just a random snow block. William was my first wall block, guys, and he's currently identified by the wooden hat he's wearing to make sure he doesn't get lost among the others blocks nearby. And if I'm not mistaken, he was my 28th block. The first shovel that I obtained allowed me to accumulate 27 snow blocks and basically be far enough away that regular mobs would spawn, and I was able to put him down on the end after fighting spiders to increase the amount of viable spawning location on the other side. But he also signified something very, very important, which is that if I was standing on William or further back, that would therefore effectively switch on this area. You can see this area which is nearer to Arnold, and particularly in terms of neutral passive mobs. So I would know that passive mobs could spawn if I was standing on William, whereas otherwise I'd actually be too close. And of course, the intended purpose of my world was to take a little bit more of an emphasis off of the nighttime, which I had been doing the nighttime collecting string, and more of an emphasis on the daytime, where it's going to spawn in passive mobs to kind of benefit from those, and particularly, of course, emeralds is what we were going to need. Now, with that being said, the second episode ended, if you guys recall, with a pack spawning in real time, so to speak, at least with my recording. And of course, towards boxes for... Whoa! You see that? The timing! I did think it would be cool and cute to do like a little bit of sleuthing here and to show you guys. I was accused of like inserting a cut here on the second episode towards the end. This is not actually a cut. There's no like cut hidden. I don't know if I can demonstrate that. It was simply changing my perspective, as you can see, with the intention to basically look at my own character, myself of course, to do an outro. Nothing more than that. And notice how they actually spawn in a pack. I'm not sure how I would actually do that, even if I had the intention to cheat. They spawn in. That's how these passive mobs often do spawn in a pack, and then they sort of activate like a moment after that. I know that this is a very unusual kind of circumstance for most people, and most players probably haven't been in a similar type of scenario, or at least the vast majority of the time has not been in this type of scenario. But it is quite literally, guys, just like hostile mobs. When you consider the fact that we are under the passive mob cap, it is no different from hostile mobs, except just less likely. The explicit intended purpose of the world and its design was to do exactly that. And of course, the intention of the world and its shape was to spawn in passive mobs and access emeralds. Currently on 4 emeralds right now. Emeralds which spawn in within sight of foxes' mouths. But not only that, also to access wandering traders. So on the topic of wandering traders, this is one of the things I wanted to address, which might not be that apparent inside of my videos. So here's the deal, guys. Currently, it has been, I think, in a surplus of over 300 days since I have even seen one wandering trader at all. So I kind of assumed to myself that like I would occasionally see them, and that has happened once. That's where I got the sand. If you guys recall, one just randomly popped up. And on another occasion, I actually saw basically evidence of a wandering trader existence. So I saw a llama up here, and I think a lead maybe, if I remember correctly, but there was no trader. So evidently the trader had actually wandered off, the pathing here wandering off the trapdoor and gone to its demise. Some people are going to say, well, just keep the trapdoors up then in that case. It kind of defeats the purpose. When passive mobs spawn, they will never actually walk off, but they will if I do this. And so therefore, I can kind of naturally keep a slow flow and cycle of passive mobs, and therefore potentially grab emeralds faster if they do naturally walk off. And the same goes for hostile mobs as well. It's really easy to just like aggro them and they just walk to their own demise. So it does kind of defeat the purpose if I actually just keep those trapdoors up the entire time. But I did want to talk about, of course, Bob Moss, the third trader, which just seemingly, in my opinion, seems very lucky. I was very grateful I was able to access Moss, the key block, which gave me access, of course, to the Acacia, if that's how you say it correctly, or Acacia tree, and therefore wood. A lot of people would ask me, why didn't I buy the birch tree? And it should be obvious, I address it in a lot of comments and stuff, but it's because it cost 5 emeralds instead of 1, extremely expensive, and my emeralds are so precious. What might not be apparent or very clear from my videos, guys, as many of you guys know, at the slow rate I put the videos out, these grinds that I'm doing, some of them are taking months, guys, and it's really easy to say, like, I would just do it twice as fast, which I probably could, if I spent 100 of every second, every moment inside of Minecraft. And, you know, this is a grind on the back end of doing another grind, you know, and I'm kind of get a bit burnt out and stuff like that. So I was trying to be very economical with the emeralds that I did have. It would take me days, guys, to get like 1 emerald, you know. And so therefore I was being very economical, and I had it mapped out that I need to spend 5 on the oak sapling in order to achieve the apple, which is required to progress, if that makes sense. And so spending 5 on birch would set me back for a long time, and I was hoping that I would just come across moss, which I thankfully did. Bob Moss. Before we move on, the discrepancy, the difference between sitting back on William and therefore making all of these snow blocks viable spawning locations for the Wandering Trader, and the difference between just being around here chilling, working, and just hoping that one spawns, seems to be massive. A massive discrepancy. When I was actively sitting there, just AFK, the traders did spawn at a fairly frequent rate. Obviously, it took like a few hundred days to get 3. But again, I've seen 5 in total in what is now 1,000 days. So yeah, I'm really looking forward, especially now that we're villagers. We should have access to more emeralds, and I'm probably going to have to create a designated area, which of course might be a little bit haphazard and potentially hostile mobs and stuff, but Wandering Traders could spawn there, and that's one thing that we're going to be doing going forward into the future. Of course, with the access to Bob Moss, we obtained wood, and wood which can be utilized to do all sorts of different things, including create the monolith. Now this here is of course the updated monolith, but we did have a non-water using option, and with that came access to various different things, including glowstone, of course, and Sirius, the glowstone block, our first glowstone block, sitting here. Here's my scaffolding I'm hiding from you, atop the Church of the Lightning Stone, as a symbol for our prosperity in the world. Of course, the Church of the Lightning Stone, created as a monument soon after obtaining access to wood, and I really like it, guys. It's really a central sort of a grounding part of the world. In my opinion, it's important to build things which are not just simply supposed to be pragmatic and useful, but instead to improve the kind of like morale and overall look and appearance of the world. It makes your experience much more pleasant, in my opinion. This is my world, guys. This is an extreme bird's eye view, the graphic which I was able to create, but of course it does encapsulate the vast majority of the world. However, there is some stuff way off, and that was, of course, me searching for a jungle biome where I was able to fish. I was spending my time fishing, and I thought it would be great if I was able to obtain bamboo, and introducing, of course, Bambi. The most recent addition to our block family, the first bamboo block, and really cool. And yeah, accessing various different bamboo blocks and color scheme and stuff like that, really nice. So one thing I want to do, guys, is a full inventory and to showcase all of the different items that I have laying around in each chest and so on, and what's the deal, what's the story with them. But before we do that, if we take a look at our map here, guys, you can see the map, of course, the world is intended to kind of be symmetrical and so on, and there's an intent behind it. However, there are various anomalies, and let's talk a little bit about those. You'll notice that all of this water has naturally frozen up because of the type of environment that we're in, the biome. However, as soon, if you look at the biome there on the left, we enter a frozen ocean, the water does not freeze. So despite the temperature, of course, the intended purpose of an ocean out in the world, a frozen ocean, is to actually be water and not ice. And introducing the half slab. So this is the first anomaly on our little map here. I have actually half slabbed this stuff out, and the reason why is because it is near enough to my sort of home base that what was happening is polar bears were spawning, guys. I guess they spawn in frozen ocean, and of course, again, it's water, not ice, which is kind of ruining my ability to run across here so smoothly and easily. Yeah, because of the whole dynamic, similar to how those passive mobs spawned in the second episode, this was getting clogged up with bears. So, fun fact, I've had actually a lot of bears. They were causing a problem, and it was namely this spot here. So I've half slapped it out to spawn proof the area. Yeah, and just more frozen ocean here, as you can see, but the other frozen ocean areas are far enough away from my world that we don't actively have mobs spawn in, that sort of thing, so it's not that big of a deal. We should have access to like a lot of silk touch and stuff eventually, and I plan to just simply place ice down, and it will resolve this sort of issue or non-issue. As you can see here represented on the map, but also in real time, guys, around the boundary I placed trees all over the place. And, you know, I just wanted to prettify the area. At the time, my world was seeming really, really plain, and I particularly was sick of looking at the same exact, you know, non-existent horizon line. But I did want to demonstrate something, and much like the polar bears, you may have heard a fox, guys. So I've got, there's a fox over there, but somewhere in these trees, there's another fox, which I'm trying to locate. Is it over here? There it is. And now this is something I wanted to show a little bit of a weirdness about the world. Leaves ordinarily are not viable spawning locations for any mobs at all. However, snow layers are. And as you can see, the snow... Oh my gosh, I almost fell there, dude. I for real almost fell there. Sheesh. That was a close jump. The snow lands on the leaves, it creates snow layers, and that unfortunately could become a problem. Just like what I was showing off with the polar bear, as we were so far away from it, generally speaking, it really didn't matter at all. However, I am going to be just over there and located around and about these trees down here to the south. Ouch. And therefore this is something that I need to think about, and unfortunately it may mean tearing this stuff down, yet to be determined. Another thing, which of course was originally on video, but just a reminder here, guys, in the most southern western part of the world, I do have a little area, and originally, when I had done less exploration and stuff like that, this was the only area I could find, which was far enough away, as I eventually bridged out with our wood, to have a non-snowing area, and instead a rain area that I was able to locate, in this case a stony shore. And I have my original kind of water source blocks here, which I first created. Now, as much as they are kind of like sentimental and cool, I do have a little bit of a concern. Potentially, I think we're probably beyond that point with the aqueducts everywhere. But you know, I do the same thing, which you'll see with my inventory shortly. I do get paranoid over the possibility that I lose access to something and actually experience regression of something that took a long time. I think in the case of water, we're good, but yeah, that is why I sort of have a remnant here, and you know, it's cool, and it's nice to reminisce and nostalgic. These are the first water source blocks that I was able to create, infinite water. So right here, guys, at the southern point on the map, there's a bit of an anomaly, if you will, and this is simply steps that I've created, guys. Just temporary steps. You know, I wanted to show things which aren't necessarily worthy. It's a fox we're talking about, of making it to a video cut, but just for pragmatism, being able to access things more easily, I just have some steps here, and you can see buttons to keep them from being spawning upon. And that was, of course, to access down here on the southernmost eastern part of the world another anomaly, which is the only area which I've actually branched out of our 400 by 400 circumference of the world, which of course is the pathway leading towards our jungle biome. As you guys know, if you watched the most recent video, we rebuilt the altar actually 2 videos ago, and it's narrower, as you can see. So we can see the Frankenschweine's influence has spread. Why don't we feed some pigs while we're here? Frustratingly, you can see some of them, even though I haven't been out here for a while, they are not actually hungry, guys. And that can be something that's quite frustrating. It seems like if they are unloaded, then the time at which for them to eat again is paused. And so it means I kind of have to just stay out here when I want to mass breed them. But yeah, this is the altar, of course, that you guys are familiar with, and this is its location off map. If we continue through here, it is the long road towards the jungle and the watering hole where I can fish up bamboo. Okay guys, and we're arriving here at the jungle biome, of course. Just simple, but I wanted to get it officially here recorded, of course. It is what it is, a fishing spot, which is jungle biome. So that's about it, guys, as far as anomalies on the map. You can see that it's kind of like symmetrical. If you've seen one part, you've seen it all, right, as per the map, but it gives you a bit of a visual. Alrighty, back here in the center of my world, guys, I wanted to address something which I've spoken about in the past, but just a bit of a reminder. So this is where the witch was for hundreds of days, guys, and that's why this side over here on the east is kind of a little bit neglected as opposed to the west side. And what do I mean by neglected? Notice that the western pad over here, it is meticulously covered, every single block, in string. And so, excuse me, as I access more string, I'm going to continue to actually place it down out here on this pad. And what exactly is the logic behind this? Wandering traders do not spawn on snow layers. So it meant that I constantly had to clean up the snow layers. And there was a time where they were my only blocks, so I really enjoyed spending my time doing that. But we've got plenty as of now, and with the addition of tools, I can get pretty much as much snow as I want, right, by just laying down blocks and collecting it. So I need to enable the wandering trader to spawn, and in order to prevent the snow from coming down, string is a great option. If we put string down, it means the blocks are viable spawning locations, and when it snows, I don't need to actually clear it up. So that's why this pad is really good, and that's just something that's kind of like boring, so I won't really address it. But as we accumulate more string, I'm going to make the other pad kind of impeccable in the same way. And hopefully we'll start to see more traders as the world continues, more time passes. Okay, this is the animal section of the tour, guys. So obviously the spawning pads can spawn in rabbits, foxes, and wolves. Yeah, as long as we're under the passive mob cap, they're just everywhere. However, of course, we do have our own animal, our own dog, Harry. And he is here, of course, to, if a sheep spawns, to protect Arnold's hairdo, so to make sure that we never actually lose access to grass, as far as I know, if grass disappears, it's gone forever. So he basically, if a sheep spawns, he boom boom hits it, but he won't chase after it forever because he's leashed up. And in regards to other animals, of course, I have this at one stage was the very edge and pinnacle of my world. It's crazy to think about how far we've come. But yeah, this of course is all neat and tidy now. I actually have our different animal dynasties. So these are the elders, so to speak, of each dynasty, and all animals in the world, like for example the swine that we utilize to turn into gold with zombie pigmen, they all come from these two source pigs. And of course, speaking of the dynasties, the most influential dynasty by far is the Frankenswines. Absolutely clutch, key, pivotal even to world progression, and the legendary, this is up close and personal, guys, high profile animal dynasty, the Frankenswines. We have here, of course, the Mother Cluckers. A little bit, I mean, we'll pretend they're cool, but hey, they are what they are. Yet to actually name our sheep dynasty, guys. So the sheep are going to take off at the point at which that I actually have access to more dirt. It's snowing. I'm going to need to sleep again with the sun coming down. Once I get more dirt, I would love to create basically more dirt, more grass blocks, and we could create a little area where the grass naturally grows in, and then the sheep actually eat the grass, recover their wool. And I do have access to some iron, and with the addition of the world of our villages to the world, I should be able to access more iron, and then we can share them, that sort of thing, and engage with Ah! I'm sorry. I was trying to shoot over. Oh no, these skeletons here, dude. I'm sorry. Are you good? Are you good? Yeah. Okay, you guys get the point. And then finally we have our rabbit dynasty as well. So people are currently in the process of naming this dynasty on the Discord. And the rabbit dynasty, guys, it is a source of leather, which could also be traded with the villagers. So they're little hides, 4 of which turn into leather. And yeah, the influence is growing, not just of the Frankenswines. Now, there is obviously the obvious fact that I don't have any cows here, guys. Now, I don't know why that would be. It's definitely not karma or anything like that. I definitely have never done anything bad to cows in the past. But yeah, I really wish that we had cows. It's kind of a little bit difficult to manage, like the mob cap and that sort of thing. I think much like the usefulness of our sheep, the cows in the beginning of the bovine dynasty, it will have to wait up until the point at which that we have access to more grass, because I believe that if I basically get some grass blocks, some silk touch, that sort of thing, and create a grass pad out in various locations, that would increase the likelihood that passive mobs spawn. And last and perhaps least as well, guys, we do have our bear, our polar bear, I will remind you. So yeah, out in this area, polar bears can spawn, and I do have polar bears. Now, I don't think that they're going to be as influential as the other animals. So that concludes the physical tour of my world, guys, and we're going to do an inventory check really quickly here, beginning with the copper farm, just having some swords and a couple copper ingots inside of these chests. So the purpose of the inventory check is so that when you see an obscure chest laying about, if you're really invested in this world and you're interested, you've watched this at this stage, well, you know what's inside that chest and it's not mysterious or anything like that. Alrighty, when it comes to the main storage area, guys, which I've built hundreds of days ago now, I was really excited at the time to just have blocks to utilize. We've got, as you can see, tools, weapons, wooden logs, miscellaneous wood, arrows, bones and bone meal, bone blocks, gunpowder, slime, rotten flesh, fruit and veg, miscellaneous items, miscellaneous blocks, armor, and miscellaneous metals. That's what we're working with right now. So in the tools, these are all of the various, you know, drops that I've gotten, and in some cases combined to increase the durability. And notice Silk Touch, guys. Very, very nice. So I do have a Silk Touch enchanted shovel, and that means in theory I can actually lift up, for example, Arnold or Blizzard without actually, you know, destroying them or retaining the grass, for example. And this means one of the big projects in the future which could come into fruition is creating the museum as a tribute to each one of our main character blocks. Similar to the Church of the Lightning Stone, utilizing all of the resources that we have. That's one of the big things that I have planned going into the future, but it's got to be really cool and done tastefully. So otherwise you can see just tons of bows, some of the more healthy enchanted bows here, which I actually haven't had the need to utilize, but I'm kind of collecting. Wood. Something that happens off recording, guys, is just constantly grinding wood. Pretty much everything requires wood, and as you can see, unfortunately, I really don't have that much. I typically have to grind what I use as we go. We got some miscellaneous wooden stuff here, as you can see. Just trying to keep things clean. Arrows. So arrows are pretty abundant. If anything, I've got a lot of them. And the special arrow here, arrow of slowness, I'm not actually sure. If you guys want to inform me about where exactly that came from and stuff, I'm not sure. Similar to wood, guys, I use a lot of bones to acquire my food, you know, obtain the carrots and then breed the animals and so on. It all comes from bones, so in a similar sense, even though I'm trying to utilize them as building resources as well, you know, I'm just constantly grinding them, is what I'm trying to say. I got gunpowder. Gunpowder actually seems like one of the things that I no longer need. I do have a full chest full, and I'll consider it in the future. I do intend eventually to rebuild all of the storage area. We got slime. So slime, very interesting, something that I haven't utilized yet, and I haven't really had the need to, but I think it should certainly be possible. It's a little bit too difficult to sort out the logistics of where exactly the slime chunks are, but when these were spawnable locations, you saw there were slimes everywhere, so I do want a slime farm in the future. Flesh. This is mostly dog food, let's be honest. We got fruit and veg here. So what I do, even though I have bamboo in other locations, I never am going to actually fully deplete some of these things, guys. So if I was to take all of my potatoes out of here, instead I would leave one. And because I can simply dupe them, so to speak, with the addition of my bone meal, right? But I'm very meticulous like that. That's why I have one bamboo here, because I never want to get hard stuck, locked, where I have to fish up another bamboo again, just in case. Miscellaneous items, pretty self-explanatory. You can see a lot of the stuff that I don't seem to have that much use for, just collecting it. Miscellaneous blocks. These are some of my more special blocks, including Bob Moss, and some nice pretty blocks and so on. We got armor. So I separated this into four kind of quadrants. You can see kind of as what I'm going for here. Certainly the iron armor is the rarest of them all right now. I do not have an abundance of it, far from it, and no diamond whatsoever. Now this is more, I'm interested in, as you can see, feather falling and stuff. This is where I just throw in some of these guys with the intention to sort them out later, merge them together, and collect more valuable enchantments and that sort of thing. Miscellaneous metals, I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah, but it is what it is. Okay, going down below, originally this is where I had the rarest items in the mall. You can see the glowstone iron. These were extremely rare from my monolith. I did originally have my carrots and my potatoes in here, as they were super rare. This was simply for some swords, just like over in the copper farm. Let's talk about the inventory over here, guys, in the main plaza. So just to be kind of out of a pragmatic thing, like, you know, keeping things organized, I did have a chest here. This is actually the first workbench I ever kind of placed down and as a sorting things out here, and I never really had the heart to kind of permanently get rid of it. It's just, you know, I've built everything from the ground up, guys, and in a similar sense, one of my first chests. And what I do is, this is just my sort of main area, right? And it helps me keep my mind on things. So what this results in right now is I have a lead in there, but I also have things that I was actually fishing up, and I definitely think we'll make use of this fish when we have access to the fisherman villager. But you can see trip, wire hook, lily pads, both of which are interesting. These actually are mostly like plants, that kind of thing. So you can see here I have flowering azalea, just, you know, interesting. Maybe I want to use them as like a pot plant type of thing. You can see the various stuff that I collected. This was from actually bone mealing on top of Arnold. I also have some kind of like sauce carrots and things in here, just keeping one around, as you can see, slowly collecting and accumulating bamboo. Thank you for the suggestions to use my sword on bamboo, guys. I don't know stuff like that. I really appreciate the tips. Good advice. It's so fast. I appreciate that a lot. Just accumulating bamboo blocks slowly but surely. And yeah, as you can see, oak saplings. So as far as the chest out in my infinite water source area, it simply has 3 water bottles, and those were the water bottles which I put originally in the cauldron to basically turn 1 water source block into 2, and then turn them into infinite water, of course, eventually. So as far as the chest and the inventory assessment out here at the altar, we have gold. As you can see, gold swords. A lot of suggestions, guys, to melt down gold into gold nuggets. I will remind you guys, we do not have stone and we don't have access to a furnace, so that's just simply not possible. What I did do is I spent a lot of time combining them, even though they kind of suck. They're the equivalent of a wooden sword. So yeah, as far as the inventory check here, guys, out at the jungle biome, I simply have fishing rods inside of this chest. As you can see here, I created the little copper farm, which I've only got 2 ingots right now. I really just needed the copper rod, let's be honest. Okay, finishing things up, guys, over here on the rare side of the Church of the Lightning Stone, where our most recent episode came to an end. I do have 2 random chests, and I believe this is the last of the full inventory of the world. You guys have seen literally everything here. This was cleaning up the altar that was out here, and you can see I've got a lot of pork chops from the Frankenswines. And then lastly, this was messing around a little bit with trying to construct and move around these guys. So yeah, you can just see a little bit of random stuff. And that is actually it, guys. Alrighty, as a bit of an outro here, guys, I wanted to talk about our villages. Of course, I'm so excited to utilize these. This was the 1,000-day world tour, guys. I hope that, like, you know, some of you guys are interested, that you appreciate that you watch that, because it should go without saying, guys, that I've been struggling to put out the content. You know, everything is so big, it's so ambitious. I feel very new to this. I don't feel that competent at this, to be honest, and it takes me a long time. It's very difficult. There is going to be some changes going forward, and that includes the fact that I'm hoping we're going to have a lot of various little things to do. That's why I wanted to do this catch-up, so that you can see it's basically the same world with additional aspects. And I'm hoping to be able to put out content faster, and maybe it's less big and magnanimous, less crazy, but more like additions to the world, guys. The fact of the matter is, guys, that my first video is huge, and the more recent videos are not doing as well, but I am still super, super appreciative, and I'm so grateful for you guys watching. And I don't think that at this stage I can trump that in any way. One of my moderators in my Discord, actually, BPR, shout out to him, he knows who he is, he basically mentioned, let's be honest, your world is like kind of like a let's play now. And so that's the type of mentality that I have going forward. Just like my intro has always said, my plan is to take this world to its absolute limits, and I'm so grateful and appreciative to anybody who follows along with me. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm super looking forward to the next episode where I hope to see you guys there.